Are Warner Bros. Discovery interested in possibly airing WWE content on their stations in the future? We've got details on that. Plus, Uncle Howdy's theme song has been released. Is this planting the seeds for Bray Wyatt's return to television after being absent for several weeks? An update on Drew McIntyre's current hiatus as he deals with an injury. Certain WWE superstars are missing from WWE Draft graphics as the 2023 WWE Draft approaches. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler's title plans are reportedly on hold while they deal with injuries. The change from King and Queen of the Ring to Night of Champions will apparently become clear after Backlash. We've got details on that. Plus, plans and title matches have been announced for SmackDown this evening on Fox. LA Knight has his sights firmly planted on the Universal Championship. Trish Stratus discusses supporting the women's division. And Kevin Nash thinks Roman Reigns should reach 1,000 days as WWE Undisputed Universal Champion. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of WWE news stories to get into. Let's start off talking about AEW's television partner, that being Warner Bros. Discovery. Are they interested in airing more pro wrestling that isn't All Elite Wrestling? Well, when Vince McMahon forced himself back into the WWE fold back in January of this year, he did so under the guidance that he would be back to help facilitate a sale of the company. With the WWE sale now sorted, the question turns to WWE's media rights deals, with both WWE and AEW set to enter renewal talks in the not too distant future. Author, reporter, and podcast host James Andrew Miller, who also worked as the Executive Vice President of Original Programming for the USA Network, spoke on the SI Media podcast with Jimmy Traynor, where he said that he's heard of interest in WWE programming from Warner Bros. Discovery. He said, quote, "I think so. I wouldn't be surprised, despite the fact that money is such an issue for them, I wouldn't be surprised if Warner Bros. Discovery wouldn't like a slice of that WWE pie." This, of course, brings up an interesting proposition, as AEW is currently airing on TNT and TBS, which are Warner Bros. Discovery properties. In fact, AEW is just about to launch a Saturday show, which is set to air on TNT in just a couple of months' time. When asked about whether WBD would replace AEW with WWE, Miller said, quote, "I don't know, but I know there are people at Warner Bros. Who are interested in WWE. All accounts are to be believed that WBD are currently very happy with AEW content on their networks, with, as I mentioned, the new Saturday night show reportedly set to debut in the next few weeks. There is currently no confirmation of talks between WWE and WBD, and frankly, I think whilst pro wrestling has surprised us a lot over the last few years, particularly when it comes to news stories, this would be a real big one, considering, again, how many projects are in the fire with WBD and AEW right now. There's Dynamite, there's Rampage, there's All Access, there's going to be Collision. Their relationship seems to only be expanding. So whilst he can say it on the podcast that he believes that they would be interested, I think it's very unlikely, to say the least. Now, Uncle Howdy. Yes, remember him? Bray Wyatt's uncle, I guess? I'm not sure. Uncle Howdy has been absent from WWE programming for several weeks, but the promotion hasn't forgotten about the mysterious character, as they have released his theme song via their profile on Spotify. The entrance music, which was produced by Def Rebel, officially dropped on the popular audio streaming platform this morning. WWE Feared, brackets Uncle Howdy, is 2 minutes and 44 seconds long and comes with a drawn artwork of Howdy as the cover image. The audio itself is the same music that has been heard various times when Howdy has made his way out to the stage on Raw and SmackDown respectively. The Howdy character was introduced on SmackDown following Bray Wyatt's return to WWE at Extreme Rules just a few days earlier. The eerie persona would interrupt Wyatt for several weeks before attacking the former WWE champion at the end of the year. Howdy also turned his attention to Alexa Bliss, who was a former associate of Wyatt when he was previously portraying The Fiend. After Wyatt defeated LA Knight at the Royal Rumble earlier this year in a Mountain Dew pitch black match, Howdy jumped from an elevated platform and caused a pyrotechnics explosion after landing on Knight. The former Wyatt family leader entered into a feud with Bobby Lashley leading into WrestleMania 39, but that storyline was abruptly pulled from television without any explanation. Wyatt and Howdy have not been seen on WWE programming since. It was recently reported that Wyatt has been dealing with a physical issue and that it's unknown when he would return. It was also said that he was dealing with an unknown illness as well at the time. Some have speculated this could be a situation of WWE suggesting that Howdy and Bray Wyatt could be returning to television soon. They have been doing a couple of social media posts about Bray Wyatt recently, but not even really hinting at recent stuff he's done. It's more like, on this day in 2014, he was feuding with John Cena heading into Extreme Rules. So No real update about when Bray Wyatt is going to be back, so frankly, don't expect to see Wyatt back anytime soon. Now, let's switch gears here and talk about Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, another person that's on a bit of hiatus right now. Drew McIntyre's in-ring return remains uncertain as he continues to stay out of action for an extended period, leaving fans anticipating his comeback. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the Scottish Warrior will be back in the ring in the coming weeks. McIntyre had been dealing with an injury that he sustained on the road to WrestleMania, but he pushed through it to compete in a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 39. Where he faced off against Gunther and Sheamus. Despite his hiatus from action, McIntyre's contract with WWE has yet to be renewed, and there has been no change in the situation as both sides were reportedly far apart on money and creative. McIntyre's absence from the upcoming taping in Madison Square Garden in July was also notable, and he was not advertised for the event alongside Roman Reigns. This is what it was said when it came to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, saying, quote, McIntyre won't be in action at least the next few weeks, and there's nothing else new right now on his situation. He was also not advertised for the July 7th SmackDown taping in Madison Square Garden, nor was Reigns. His contract has months to go, and there's been no change in that situation past the sides were far apart on money. The star is also happy with some of his creative recently, as I mentioned. He also removed all references of his employer WWE from his social media accounts and blacked them out too. Other than his health issues, McIntyre's WWE contract is set to expire later this year. As I mentioned, he has been in negotiations with the company, but it appears both parties are not close when it comes to the money talk. Only time will tell about McIntyre's future status and if WWE will meet his financial demands. So do you think that McIntyre is going to stick around with WWE, and when do you think he could come back, if ever? Now, the draft is on the horizon beginning a week, I believe it's a week today, is it not? There are some interesting omissions, though, from the official graphics for the upcoming 2023 WWE Draft on April 28th and May 1st. WWE has shown a graphic with what looked like the entire current WWE main roster on television recently to promote the draft, but it's not actually the entire roster, as there are several people missing. One of those is Alexa Bliss, who has been off WWE television since the Royal Rumble in January. She recently underwent skin cancer treatment and also appeared on The Masked Singer. Carmella is also absent from the graphic. She's been off TV for unknown reasons since a couple of weeks before WrestleMania, but was in LA for the festivities, including hosting the stage reveal with her real-life husband, Corey Graves. Another member of the women's division left off the graphic is Aaliyah. She suffered an injury in September, but recently said she'd been cleared to wrestle since October, but just hasn't been used. Now, shifting over to the men's side of things, one notable face absent from the graphic is the aforementioned Bray Wyatt, who has been absent due to illness since a few weeks before WrestleMania 2, which caused his match at WrestleMania with Bobby Lashley to be cancelled. Wyatt's associate and real-life brother, and the person whose song has been recently released, Uncle Howdy, also is not on the graphic. Randy Orton, who's been out of action for almost a year now due to injury issues that have amalgamated over time, but specifically a back injury, he's not on the graphic either. Other names who have been out with lengthy injuries, namely Big E, Robert Roode, Tommaso Ciampa, R-Truth, have also been left out. Interestingly, AJ Styles, who's been out of action with a broken ankle since December, actually is on the graphic, indicating he could be involved in the draft. Shanky, who's been absent since July of last year and had his tag team partner Jinder Mahal move to NXT, is absent as well. On the flip side, one notable inclusion on the graphic you may not have expected, just because she's not really a regular on TV anymore, is The Miz's wife, Maryse. It remains to be seen what any of this actually means in terms of people's eligibility for the draft, but we'll keep you updated for any future announcements. Of course, it must be said, if there were surprises, WWE wouldn't spoil it when it comes to graphics or anything like that, so it's just interesting certain names are on there and other names are not. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, well, I think you've probably heard this story a million times, but they were meant to be the Women's Tag Team Champions. The health of former SmackDown Women's Champion Ronda Rousey has been a prominent topic lately, with her dealing with an arm injury, particularly in the lead up to WrestleMania 39. While Rousey would compete in the four-way showcase tag team match on night 2 of WrestleMania, she would barely do anything physical in the match, only applying an armbar at the end to actually win the whole thing. This wasn't the original plan, as Rousey and Baszler had been penciled in to win the Women's Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania, but couldn't due to Rousey's injury. Rousey has not been seen since WrestleMania, as well as her partner Shayna Baszler, suggesting that the former UFC star still isn't cleared for action. The speculation has been furthered by other teams who lost to Baszler and Rousey at WrestleMania, such as new champions Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, as well as Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green jumping ahead of them in the tag title picture. Now, an update has been given by Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter on Rousey's injury status and how it has affected WWE's creative plans. Meltzer writes, quote, "The Rousey-Baszler chase over the women's tag title is on hold because Rousey is still out of action with her broken forearm. She did WrestleMania because it was WrestleMania in Los Angeles, but she was clearly not ready and still isn't ready to return. It was noted to us that her mentality regarding the injury was basically, F it. She's doing WrestleMania no matter what, basically because of her mentality from both herself and her mother regarding competing in real sports while injured. While Rousey's status is much of the same right now, expect herself and Baszler to be launched back into the tag title scene upon their return, with Baszler hinting at such on Twitter. As for the current champions Morgan and Rodriguez, they will defend their titles against Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville at tonight's edition of Friday Night SmackDown on Fox. WWE will no doubt want Ronda Rousey back in action for Backlash in Puerto Rico, and that will likely be where she returns if it's possible, but as of right now, it's uncertain if she's going to be ready in time. Now, speaking of premium live events, a big story was the change, wasn't it, from King and Queen of the Ring to Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. For WWE's next travels to Saudi Arabia, the King and Queen of the Ring were set to return. That is, until the tournaments weren't anymore, with the premium live event for the late May show being rebranded to revive Night of Champions, a show that, in the past, featured every single title in WWE's arsenal being defended. But why? Well, according to the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, while chalked up to a booking decision, the reasoning behind the change will become less foggy following Backlash and in the weeks leading up to the Saudi show. Backlash takes place in Puerto Rico 3 weeks prior and is set to be headlined by Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. However, with Roman Reigns not slated to appear then, he may have no choice but to put his undisputed WWE Universal Championship on the line at Night of Champions. Cody Rhodes has certainly demanded a rematch to their WrestleMania bout. However, it remains to be seen whether he'll be giving that opportunity at that event. Adding a lot of intrigue to the situation, Night of Champions happens to be on May 27, which also happens to be the exact day that Roman Reigns will hit the 1,000-day milestone for his long-running title reign. As for what it means for the idea of the King and the Queen of the Ring returning, it legitimately remains to be seen. WWE obviously had ideas about the concepts returning, but with each put on the back burner with change of plans, there is no telling if anything more will be done with either in the immediate future. But certainly, the idea of Night of Champions being the name of the event, that's going to become more recognizable and familiar after Backlash. Now, SmackDown is on Fox tonight, as always, and there's some big matches announced and some plans for the events have also been revealed too. After the continued feuding, a simmering rivalry is set to come to a climax as a fan favourite star takes on a long-reigning champion on the Friday night staple. The Intercontinental Championship will be on the line when Gunther defends against Xavier Woods. New Women's Tag Team Champions Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez will put their titles on the line when they face Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. After having a free trial of several tag team partners, Green has remained paired with Sonya Deville as the two Karens continue to entertain fans. Also announced for the show, Ricochet and Braun Strowman will get their chance at revenge for a recent backstage assault when they face the Viking Raiders on the show as well. As far as some spoilers ahead if you don't want to be spoiled, there's going to be a few things that haven't been announced. Of course, on last week's show, Shinsuke Nakamura made his return to WWE television, picking up a victory over Madcap Moss before Karrion Kross and Scarlett tease an upcoming feud with McIntyre. Per Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, the feud between Kross and Nakamura is set to continue on tonight's episode of SmackDown. Also set for the show are the LWO, who are currently not advertised for the show, but are set for at least a backstage segment, so expect more of Nakamura and Kross and the LWO as well. But what about LA Knight? Yeah, well, LA Knight wants to become a world champion in WWE. Despite his popularity, Knight has been on somewhat of a losing streak in recent weeks, most recently picking up a loss to Xavier Woods on last week's show. However, despite this, Knight is still looking as the frontrunner to be the winner of the men's Money in the Bank briefcase later this year, according to reports, which would entitle him to a match against the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. Speaking on KTAL NBC6, Knight said he's looking at becoming the Universal Champion sooner rather than later. He said, quote, "Not only are they looking for me to become world champ sometime soon, but I'm looking to become the WWE Universal Champion sooner than later." He was then asked by a fan if he could have a dream match against anyone who he would face. Knight kept his answer simple: anyone with a title that he can win. He said, quote, "Dream matches, you think about people from the past who aren't doing it anymore. There are a couple of those. Everyone is talking about it again. The undisputed WWE Universal Champion. That makes me look at Roman Reigns." Even Gunther with the Intercontinental Championship, Austin Theory for the United States Championship. Any of those guys who I could take a piece of gold off of, that would be my dream match. So could LA Knight be a world champion? Wow, I think a lot of fans would like to see it, certainly. Trish Stratus, of course, she's now a heel on WWE TV, but she recently reflected on this character change and whether she would be up for the challenge. Beyond her character work, however, the Hall of Famer has also spoken about the reception she receives from the current crop of women in WWE. Speaking on After the Bow, Stratus revealed, quote, "I've always had great relationships with the current crop. When I got the role to be on Tough Enough, I was so excited about that role because it was a moment to give back all the experience you have. I had people in my life, you know, I was able to do what I did and achieve what I did because I had people backing me." She would go on to name the influences on her career, saying, "I had Fit Finlay, I had Regal, who would go in there and do 100 Hindu squats and then show me. I had Lance Storm, I had Tommy Dreamer, I had Bubba. I had all these guys and people who saw my potential, saw my passion and took me aside. I loved it. I ate it up and I was a sponge, and that's why I got better, because I had that." Stratus would also reveal who she pays the support forward, concluding, or how she pays the support forward, concluding, quote, "I try now to be that ear for them because there's a lot of frustrating moments, especially as a female superstar in the WWE. I want to be like, listen, we've been there, but do this or say this." So certainly, again, Trish Stratus, a trailblazer, no doubt about it. And finally, Kevin Nash thinks Roman Reigns should hit 1,000 days as undisputed Universal Champion. Well, it looks like he's going to anyway. With his shocking victory at WrestleMania 39, Roman Reigns is staring down the barrel of a 1,000-day title reign, but he has nearly 40 days left to make that monumental benchmark. Quote, "That close to 1,000, you have to," Kevin Nash mused on his latest Click This Q&A. "It would be like if Ripken had turf toe and had taken a day off," he continued, comparing Reigns' lengthy title run to baseball legend Cal Ripken's landmark 2,632 consecutive games played record. "They're certainly milestones, and now he's close to 1,000. Nash believes that Reigns' success will be WWE's success. You're going to be as successful as your effing top guy. And Roman's the top guy right now," he explained. "Roman has the cool factor. Roman's your money guy." The WWE Hall of Famer believes an unwillingness to commit to a top champion was one of the causes of the company's business woes in the 1990s. "If I would have beaten Brett out of the chute, I absolutely think Diesel has a much better effing run. But the fact they wouldn't commit and put the effing eggs in the basket, I think that hurt me, and I think they weren't ready to make that commitment." According to Nash, Cody Rhodes beating Reigns at 999 days doesn't make for a legendary title reign, noting that if the Tribal Chief holds the belt for 1,003 days, he can still claim he's held the title for over 1,000 days. And that's going to be a long time before WWE has someone in his position again. So do you agree with Kevin Nash? Should Roman Reigns hit 1,000 days as Universal Champion? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. There you go, guys. This is the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.